Hello everybody, this is Serpent and welcome back to another YouTube video. And in this one I will be showing you how to spawn lightning with a mob spawner, as well as create arrows that when shot from a bow will strike lightning on impact with the ground. Before we get started, I just want to quickly note that in this tutorial I end up using custom potion effects, the command, or the tag, that is put onto arrows and potions and various things like that to dictate what potion effects are on something. If you want to learn more about how to use that command, then I have a fairly decent tutorial that I will link in the description. There's not a whole lot more to explain about the concepts than that, so let's just jump into the commands. To create the system, it is a little bit of a long-winded thing. In the end, it's only a few command blocks, 3 or 4, and in fact, those 3 control most of it. However, I will be explaining the stuff, so it'll take a little bit more, a few more commands to explain it with. So the first thing you need to do is create a command that will tag the arrows shot with a tag lightning arrow that we can use in the future to differentiate them from normal arrows. That way we can tell which ones need to be turned into a lightning bolt and which ones are just skeleton arrows or just player arrows or something like that. So to start that, the base command is scoreboard players tag, and then you will add a selector. So this will select all entities at the moment, but of course there's a little bracket there for differentiating between normal things and arrows. And then here you add 2 arrows, the tag lightning arrow, except that one won't quite work because we don't want all arrows. We just want the arrows that are shot from the bow, or just the lightning arrows, not normal ones. And the way we're going to differentiate the two is with potion effects. So the arrows that will strike lightning when they hit the ground will have a certain potion effect that other arrows can't have, or a combination if you need to be a little bit more complicated due to fancy commands. It's fairly flexible, basically. So that involves a data tag at the end, so that this stuff will only affect not only type arrows, but only type arrows with this data tag. And we'll fill that data tag with custom potion effects, which is a list of things, and that thing that we're focusing on is ID 11B, which is, I believe, resistance, which is not something you can put on an arrow initially, normally, just with commands. If you need to differentiate between more than one effect, so say you have things that you have arrows that can have any of the potion effects in the game, well, just create a potion effect code by separating multiple items, which, by the way, are encompassed by these curly brackets. Just add another potion effect, ID maybe 14. Now only arrows that have both ID 11, B. Now only arrows with ID 11B and ID 14B potion effects will be affected by this command. So, moving on from that, we don't necessarily need this to be true, but if you want maximum flexibility, I need to show it to you, so I will. You can also have it detect whether they're stuck in the ground or not by adding this at the end after the list of things from the potion effects, comma, in ground 1B. So that means that only arrows that are stuck in the ground will be affected by this command. Above here we have just all of them, which is the previous command. This does not discriminate between either stuck in the ground or not stuck in the ground. It's just any old arrow with ID 11B. And up here is only arrows that are not stuck in the ground. Okay, so now I want to demonstrate this a little bit. we have those previous commands that remember tag something with that stuff, just so that you remember what it's actually doing, because I haven't said that much. It's adding a tag to these things, and the bottom one, like over there, is things stuck in the ground with the potion effect, arrows stuck in the ground with the potion effect. This one in the middle is arrows just with the potion effect, and that one's like that one, not stuck in the ground. So if I turn this on and grab a bow, this arrow here has resistance, so if we shoot it... Oh, go away! You're not supposed to be on. Shh, nothing happened. Okay, so this one will say tagged arrow whenever it tags the arrow, which is like that. and you notice that as I say test, for example, my words are going up off the screen rather quickly because it's continually saying tagged, because it's continually tagging. And now that I've killed it, it's not continuing to tag things. So that one, by the way, notice how it doesn't do anything until the arrow hits the ground. See, it's off in the air, everything's good, I can turn it on and off, but as soon as it hit the ground, that's when it starts to notice it. And this one in the middle, if we put out our little notice there, you can see that it worked while in the air. Let me just show that to you a little bit better. See, it's going while in the air, and when it hits the ground, it's also going, so it doesn't care. This one is only in the air, so you can see that it works in the air, like I said, but when it hits the ground, it does not work. And all of these ignore normal arrows because of that tagging we did, or data tagging. This is all tagging, but with this one we have a data tag at the end, so this undata tagged arrow is not noticed. Quit missing the button. Okay, so that's the first part. We know which arrows do what, which arrows are what, and with this one we need to do something with that information. And the first step is to run a /execute command on type arrows that also have the tag lightning arrow that was added to the arrow by those command blocks over there. So then the command we're doing, whoops, you also have to specify the location, but the command we're doing is summon lightning bolt, and it's going to be at the location of the execute command. So with no arrows down, it does nothing, of course, and with some arrows down, that thing's tagging, and when we hit this button, there we go. Now with a normal arrow, it doesn't. It's just striking the old one again. So I'll pick that up. But there we go. Nothing. And of course, I think it's worth noticing that when this thing's in the air, see, this button does nothing. But as soon as it hits the ground, then it strikes lightning. So that command over there tags the arrow. This command here does something with the information. It strikes lightning upon that tagged arrow. And over here, we just need to get rid of the arrows that have already been struck by lightning. So we'll do that with a /kill command that's specified to only arrows. And if I grab my bow again, we can see that at the moment, with just that command, it will kill that arrow and this arrow. It's not smart enough. So we once again have to add the tag lightning arrow command. which will specify between normal arrows, normal arrows, and tagged arrows, which will be created by that. And over here, all of them, I've put all of them together. So the first one is the tagging command, then the second one is the lightning bolt command, and then the third one is the killing command. So this one will always check, but since these ones are conditional, they won't activate until this one's actually found something. So then once it does, these ones activate. This one spawns lightning bolt, and this one following that one, since they are chain command blocks, this one following that one will kill the arrow, but only after the lightning bolt has spawned. So let's see that in action. This is a normal arrow, of course, and this is the other arrow. Pretty cool. And of course, this command can once again be changed to be not once it's in the ground, just any old arrow, or any old arrow that's got the potion effect. However, that doesn't really work out so well when it's when it's just this when you're not specifying between ground arrows or not ground arrows, and you've got this constantly checking, and it doesn't kill the arrows, then yeah. So that's not ideal. However, this will work if you give it the in-ground 1B, of course. So this one here, as I've just demonstrated, gives you a nice strike lightning on arrows that are basically the lightning arrows. It gives you lightning arrows you can shoot. But if you want to just spawn lightning for ambient purposes, then this won't be so useful yet. So now we need to spawn these arrows just with a normal mob spawner, because you can't spawn lightning directly, but you can spawn the arrows, and you can give them fancy potion effects as well. So that allows you to create a spawner that spawns arrows, which in turn spawn lightning. And you can have them either just spawn the lightning as soon as they appear, or spawn lightning when they hit the ground. So you can have them floating up there, and the arrows fall down and hit the ground, and lightning strikes, or you can have it just anywhere, and the lightning will strike as soon as the arrows spawn. So this way you can either have the lightning home in on the ground, only strike on the ground, or you can also have it strike wherever. Okay, so first things first, you need to set a mob spawner somewhere. That's the first base command. Then we need to add a bunch of data tags to the spawner itself that's being placed. The first one I'm adding is the required player range. This data tag will determine how close players need to be in order for things to spawn, and I have just chosen 60 for this one, just because that's a nice large number and you can see lightning from a distance without necessarily being struck by it. The second one is max nearby entities, and this is the maximum number of arrows that can be nearby before the thing stops spawning. So only 2 can be there at a time, or else it won't spawn more. And I've done that because this way, if the thing that detects the arrows is in a different chunk than the thing that spawns the arrows, and an arrow spawns here, and the chunk boundary is here, and this thing is here. If this chunk is unloaded, and the spawner is unbounded, it'll just keep spawning more and more and more and more and more and more and more arrows. And then whenever you scooch over this chunk boundary and load this chunk, all of the arrows will turn into lightning at exactly the same time, which will create a very large, obnoxious burst of lightning that doesn't look that great. So the spawn, the max nearby entities should be somewhere around 2-ish. The next data tag parameter is the spawn range. This is how close to the command block or to the spawner the arrows can spawn. So they won't spawn outside of a cube or outside of a hold on, from this block here to this block here in a square 20 by 20 around that. So a 20 by 20 by 3 square. And then the next one is the important one. So it's spawn data. This is what is spawned. So we need to give it an ID for the thing it's going to spawn, which is a string, and the string is going to be arrow, and the arrow is going to have custom potion effects, which remember is a list of things. Ours and our thing is going to be ID 11. B. So yeah, it'll just sit there as long as you're within 60 blocks of it. It will start whirring away and create arrows within the 20 by 20 by 3, which will fall when they hit the ground. They will turn into lightning, and it will be cool. Now there are a lot more parameters within the there are a lot more parameters within within your option range. You can put more on, like the rate at which things spawn, or fancy things like that. I haven't delved into that yet because I like the normal rate. It's fairly cool, fairly nice. Works well with the ambient lightning. And but you can alter the rate, alter various things. You just need to look those up on the Wikipedia page. So yeah, do that if you want to get into that. However, if not, then hopefully you enjoyed this video. Hopefully it was at least mildly helpful or interesting. And I shall see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.